Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah nation.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Yasharal and Yahudah. Listen, we are called to wake up, Yasharal and Yahudah. We the people of the book broadcast is going down right now. Yeah, Yahuwah has called me to cry loud, to spare not, to lift up my voice like a trumpet in Zion. Listen. You must be born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. You must be made alive, quickened by this witness. We listening to none other than Hezekiah Yah. You know I love this Ak. I never knew Yah. That's the title of the song, right? I don't own the rights to this music, but listen. I had to warn Yaakov and Yahudah. I got to warn the grafted Gentiles. I got to let people know that the only way to get into this witness is through the blood of Yahushua Mashiach's witness. You listen, there is only one way given unto men whereby they must receive Yeshua. That's at the name of Yahushua Mashiach. Yahuwah, I pray right now in the name of Yahushua Mashiach that you will take the reins of my lips and the reins of my tongue and reign. Yahuwah, may I not cause anyone to stumble, anyone to be turned out of the way, anyone to come up late. Yahuwah, by your Ruach HaKodesh, I'm asking you to sweep in this place right now in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Move by your power, Ruach power with signs, wonders, and demonstrations. Yahuwah, in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, let your word be that lamp and that light. Yahuwah, let that word that you have, that Torah, that Masorah, strengthen those who have an ear to hear, Yahuwah. Let your word come forth in power and in demonstration. Yahuwah, in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, I pray, Yahuwah, that you would do it for us. That you would do it for us in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. I pray that you would do it in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Yahuwah, your word is a life. Your word is life. Your word is life. Yahuwah, we have to wake up your people. Yahuwah, in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, I thank you. I thank you, Yahuwah. I give you praise, Yahuwah. I magnify your name, Yahuwah. I glorify your name. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. You are my strength and my redeemer. I thank you for your Ruach HaKodesh. Power. Righteous power. Yahweh, I give you praise. In the name of Yahushua Mashiach, I pray. Listen, Yahshua. I love Yahuwah. I got to do what you would call me to do. I trust Yahuwah's word. I'm called to give a word. I am called to declare a word. I got to do what Yahuwah told me to do. We the people of the book broadcast. We got to do what Yahuwah's called us to do. We got to cry loud. We got to spare not. We gonna do it. We going in on this Shabbat. We going in. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, listen, it's the Shabbat. We give Yahuwah praise for his Shabbat, right? We recognize that it is his rest. Yeah, rest from our labors. But listen. There is a rest in the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach. There is a rest for those who have received the water, the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. Yeah, there's a rest for those who have received the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. The rest, a Shabbat, a rest, a Shiloh, a rest. And the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach. Yes. But you got to be established in this witness. Yeah. You established in this witness, right? You must have Yahuah's Ruach HaKodesh. You must have his Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, without the Ruach HaKodesh, you ain't going to even be able to rightly divide this Besorah, this Torah. You must receive the Ruach HaKodesh. Yahusha declared unto his disciples that they needed to have the Ruach HaKodesh in order to be able to take what Yahusha had said and bring it back to their remembrance. The Torah. In order to understand what the Torah was to do and how it was to perform, you had to have the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen. In order to be able to judge Yahuah's people, in order to be able to give Yahuah's people a word, you got to have his Ruach HaKodesh. If you don't have Yahuah's Ruach HaKodesh, you ain't worth nothing to Yahuah. I said it. Without the Ruach HaKodesh, you are none of his. Only those who are in this witness, only those who have received Yahusha's witness, only those who have received this bread of life, this manna from heaven, Yahushua HaMashiach. You must receive the witness. He is the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father except by him. Listen. You better understand this. You better understand this. You better understand this. You better understand this. There is only one way. Only way. One way. And that's through Yahuah and his witness. Listen, man, y'all want me? We going in. Listen. We left off at the 17th chapter, right? And we understand that this is about Shlomo. This wisdom of Shlomo is a reflection of Shlomo's recollections of wisdom and knowledge placed on this paper for our learning. It's the Ruach HaKodesh truth. This word is life. Shlomo understood that he needed Yahuah's Ruach HaKodesh in order to judge Yahuah's people. He knew that he needed to have Yahuah's Ruach HaKodesh in order to lead Yahuah's people. Without Yahuah's Ruach HaKodesh, he could not have completed the wisdom of Shlomo. It would have been man's wisdom. Valueless. The wisdom of man is foolishness. Yeah, let's go. So Shlomo. Now understand this now, because I had to pray and I had to seek Yahuah about the 17th chapter, and Yahuah said to me, listen. There are those, right, who judgment is reserved for. Right? Now, this judgment is reserved for the idolaters. Right? Those who worship images. Those who worship graven images. Those who promote the worship of graven images. Right? Those who bow down to graven images. See, now Shlomo was talking about the judgment that's going to be received by these idolaters. This judgment is gross darkness. This judgment is pervasive to all those who are not in Yahuah's witness. I see it. And they ain't going to understand this judgment. They're not going to understand this judgment. Right? They're not going to understand it. But see, we, the righteous, look at it and see now how Yahuah is using the elements to just pound these nations. Right? Because that's his judgment. Because we as people have begun to turn to him and receive the witness and walk in the power and the strength of the Ruach HaKodesh. We've been born again. We have understood as the nation of people what's required of us. Yaakov, whose name has been written in the Shamaim, we understand now what Yahuwah demands of us, and that's righteousness. Right. There's only the righteous and the unrighteous. There's only the adulterers, the idol worshipers, those who have committed spiritual fornication, and those who are the true worshipers who worship Yahuwah in Ruach and in truth. Right. There's only two. Right. So Shlomo says in his first verse, which is a continuation of his overall theme, which is how there's judgment that's coming, and the judgment is on those who are idolaters. Those who have committed spiritual fornication, right? Those who have allowed themselves to be worshipers of idols. Those who have broken Torah. Right. Because it was written to us, right? Us who Yahuwah has called. But we chose idols. The nation chose idols. Leaders, priests chose idols, right? And there's a consequence attached to adultery. There's consequences attached to adultery. You ain't gonna escape when you are in adultery. You're gonna be judged. There's a judgment. 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 You're gonna be judged, right? There's a punishment. Right? There's a punishment for all those. Punishment for those who choose idolatry. Those who break Yahuwah's Torah. Right? So he says, great are thy judgments. Yahuwah demonstrated himself strong all the time. Because Yahuwah can't lie. Yahuwah can't do anything wrong. Everything Yahuwah does is right. Yahuwah speaks a thing, it has to happen because it's a Torah. And if it happens, that's a validation of it being a true thing. If Yahuwah said that there be short-legged zebra tigers, guess what? There's going to be a manifestation because he's true. It has to happen. Right. Everything Yahuwah does is true. Everything Yahuwah does is right. Everything Yahuwah makes a decision about is great. His decision to judge you for your wickedness, your disobedience to Torah is right. Yahuwah is right in his judgment. Yahuwah was right when he decided to give me a stroke. He was right when in my Ruach I turned in prayer, he answered. I got this. Because he's quick to mercy. When you recognize that, you need him. Yahuwah's judgments are right. They're great. What Yahuwah does when his gavel goes down, bam! It's right. Right. If Yahuwah chooses to save and deliver you and your grandmama, your mama and them and your kids, don't, bam! It's Yahuwah's gavel. He's righteous. It's gone down. He can do whatever he wants to do. Listen, if Yahuwah brings me in and my wife don't go in, bam! The gavel is down. Yahuwah has judged. Listen, he's righteous. Listen, I understand something. He's serving notice on you Babylonian want to hold on to idol worshiping, judging you. Gavel has already been brought down. The verdict is already in. He said, for great are thy judgments. Cannot be expressed. Listen. Yahuwah's decisions, his moves of judgment, his strength, his arm, whatever he decides to do, it cannot be questioned. Can't question can't even figure it out. Right? He says, listen, therefore the unnurtured, that soul that does not have an established relationship with him through Torah, they erred. In error. You who have not established yourself in this witness of Yahushua Mashiach, right? His water, his blood, and his Ruach HaKodesh, the Ruach HaKodesh of truth, the Ruach HaKodesh, which Shaul says, and ye shall receive power. No, Yahushua said that. What is it? What did Shaul said in Ephesians? He says, unto Ephesians 1 and 13, in whom also ye trusted after that ye heard the word of truth, the Basora of your Yeshua, in whom also after ye believed you were sealed with the Ruach HaKodesh of truth, the Ruach HaKodesh of truth, which is the earnest of your inheritance, unto the redemption of the possession of, to the praise of his glory, right? He says in that 17th verse that the Alua of Adonai Yahusha, the Abba of glory, may give unto you what? The Ruach HaKodesh of wisdom, the Ruach HaKodesh of Ruach of wisdom and understanding, Ruach of wisdom and revelation and the knowledge of him. Listen. They erred because they did not move and receive Yahuwah's truth, his Torah. They didn't obey Yahuwah's Torah from a pure heart, right? They did not allow the word of Yahuwah and the Ruach of Yahuwah to lead them and guide them into all truth. You must have Yahuwah's witness. Otherwise, you're going to err. Without the Ruach HaKodesh, you're going to err. Right? Without the Ruach HaKodesh. Yahuwah says, I'm going to give you my Ruach. I'm going to give you a new heart, and I'm going to place that stony heart with a heart of flesh. And I'm going to put my Ruach HaKodesh in you, right, in order for you to keep my judgments and my statutes, right? Without that, you're going to err from the truth. You are going to err from the truth. You're going to do like those who are idolaters. Even in this world, the pervasiveness of idolatry is everywhere. It's everywhere. Idolatry is everywhere. It's in commercials. It's in TV shows. Idolatry is everywhere. You're going to err if you're not establishing this witness. See, listen, you have to receive Yahushua's witness. You have to receive Yahushua's Ruach HaKodesh. You got to receive the water and the blood. You got to be established. Yahushua told me, he said, you got to tell my people they got to have the Ruach HaKodesh. You got to have the Ruach HaKodesh to be established. You got to have the Ruach HaKodesh to rightly divide the word of truth. Without it, you're going to err. Error. He said, when an unrighteous man through the oppression thought to oppress the holy nation, how was he oppressing the holy nation? By giving them idols. By giving them idolatry. Because you got to understand now, in that 15th and that 16th chapter, he's speaking about idolatry and how man has carved and established these wicked idols, right? And he has caused men to err. They called us to error. Shlomo caused the nation to err, bringing in these idols. Having these idols made with hands, having people begin to entertain the worship of them in the temple that he made for Yahuwah, in the city gates, having groves, having belfaments, having idols, right, causing the people to err. kings, priests. When the unrighteous man thought to oppress the holy nation, right? They being shut up in their houses, right? Prisoners of darkness, right? Fetters with the bonds of a long night. Listen, listen, listen. There is no hope in idols. There's judgment. Yahuwah is going to judge. And the judgment is inevitable. The judgment is already determined. If you are an adulterer, if you are committing spiritual fornication, the judge has rendered his judgment, the gavel has gone down, you are going to be condemned. For when unrighteous men thought to oppress the holy nation. Yeah. Let's make these idols. Let's use these idols to oppress the people so that they can be bound down to them instead of seeking you. Let's give them an assortment of them. Let's paint them all different colors. Right. Let's overlay them with gold and silver. Let's cause these people to stumble. Let's cause them to err from the truth of Torah. Amongst the nation. The nation bought into the idolatry. Yahuwah told Moshe, these people, after you die, they gonna go whoring after these idols, these elves, these other gods of the nations. They gonna start with their artistic witches kind of. They gonna make idols. And they're going to cause men to worship them. The nation is going to turn from me to them. There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. The nation is more apt to find entertainment, right, in this world, this system, this Babylon. They spend time on Shabbat, resting and worshiping Yahuwah, because you know what? They don't have the rest that the Shabbat provides through faith in Hamashiach's witness. But what they're going to do is they're going to oppress you. Oh yeah, they did it. They oppressed our forefathers to the point where our forefathers gave in and they started making idols. They oppressed us so much now that we are the idols. Yeah. We the football idols, basketball idols. We the music America Got Talent music idols. We are the actresses, the stars. Right? Yeah. We done gave in. Adultery. He oppressed the holy nation. Right? They being shut up in their houses, prisoners of darkness. They're prisoners of darkness because they violated Torah, and they're now the children of Hasatan. Right. They walked away from the witness of the Torah. And they chose darkness. Now they're hiding. Because judgment is inevitable. Judgment is inevitable. It's coming, right? For when the unrighteous man thought to oppress the holy nation, right? They being shut up in their houses and prisoners of darkness. Why? Because they worship these idols. They done surrendered over. They done walked away from the Torah. And now they got these idols that they worship. They ain't established in you. They ain't establishing Yahush's witness. They prisoners of darkness. Shaul says it this way. Right? Shaul says, Ephesians 2:1. And you have he quickened who were dead in your trespasses and sins. Right? In times past, walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the Ruach that now worketh in the children of disobedience, those who break Torah, right? Among whom also you had your way of life, manner of conversations in times past, walking in lust, fulfilling the lust of the flesh, desires of the flesh and of the mind, and you were by your very nature, right? Children of wrath. See, because your unnurtured soul has erred. And because you erred from Torah, your nature is darkness. You've erred from Torah, now your nature is darkness. He says, and we're by nature children of wrath, even other, but Yahuwah, who is rich in mercy, for his great word, he loved us when we were dead in sin, having quickened us together with Hamashiach. By grace are we saved through faith. Listen, we were dead. We were without hope. We were in darkness. We were the children of darkness. We were idolaters. We were committing spiritual fornication. That was the beginning of the idolatry. The spiritual fornication was the beginning of the idolatry. It's us turning our backs on Yahuwah. If Yahuwah says to us, right, I am Yahuwah thy Eluah, that brought thee out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of bondage, thou shalt have no other else before me. He meant it. That was the Torah. Right? If Yahuwah said, Exodus 20:4, thou shalt not make any graven images, painting, art, magic, or art, a graven image, carved, chiseled, right? Posters, right? Shrines, right? If he said, thou shalt not make any graven images or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above or in the earth beneath or that is in the water or under the earth, he meant it. It was the Torah. It was his word. It's not a man that he should lie. Whatever comes out of his mouth has to happen. So if he said not to do this, then you have to comply with this not to do, because if you don't, you'll violate Torah. Right? He says, thou shalt not bow thyself down to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah, thy Eluah, am a jealous Eluah. Consequences. Visiting the iniquities of the fathers unto the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. You hate him. You worshiping at the temple of Sunday service. You're bowing down to the cross, the graven image. You are in darkness. You will say not to do it. He said, listen. He said he's going to visit the iniquities. He's going to show mercies unto thousands that love him and keep his commandments. Listen. For when the righteous man thought to oppress the holy nation, when you got the nation to turn, because you are unrighteous, you turned the holy, set apart Kodesh people against you. Began to serve and worship these elves. Shlomo did it. They being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness. Why? Because they worshiping their idols in their homes. Darkness. Right now, judgment is coming. Took them away from their allure, and you got them in darkness. You got them worshiping Christmas trees. You got them worshiping Easter bunnies. You got them worshiping Halloween, giving out candy. Even in the churches, you call it autumn something. Dressing up. Being an idol. Letting your kids walk around with idols. Dressed up as idols. They did this. They gave us idols. They told us this European who they named Jesus. This idol, this image, Cesare Borgia. Right? Leonardo da Vinci's painted Pope's son, gay. For an unrighteous man thought to oppress a holy nation. Right? They being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness, and fettered with the bonds of long nights. Why? Because you know what? They didn't have the Yeshua of the Torah. Right? Their minds were captive. Right? By darkness, because they're serving these elves. There's terror that comes with serving these elves. See, now listen. See, we who have the witness of Yahushua Mashiach, we ain't condemned. There's therefore now no condemnation to us who are in a Mashiach, because we free. Listen, Yahuwah has not given us the spirit of fear, leading to bondage. He's given us the spirit of adoption as sons, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. Listen, we ain't got, we don't live in fear. But see, we ain't serving else. See, because, the unrighteous has taken this Kodesh people and Antiochus. Epiphanes, I think it says Epiphanes Antiochus. I think that's the name anyway he wanted to make the Hebrews, Greeks, Hellenize. Dig on the culture of the Greeks. That pervasive pornonia culture. That was supposed to be wise, but they became fools. They don't have the ruach of wisdom. They just have their own fleshly reasoning that's driven by their imaginations. Right? Convinced the Greeks to Hellenize the Yahudim. Created arenas for them now to do exercise and participate in these arena games. The unrighteous thought to oppress a these people, these people, they gave in. Like priests, like people. They're going to be like the king. The king has placed idols in Yahuah's temple. They've taken the Torahs and they've hid them. They've surrendered to the will of Hasatan. Idols everywhere. Fornication everywhere. Pornography is everywhere. It's darkness. Darkness. He says, listen. And fettered with the bonds of the night, they're in bondage. In their homes. On their knees. Before these idols that they pray for. Pray to. Wanting to be delivered, but there's no deliverance for them in those idols. There's only judgment. Listen, you is going to deliver or judge. He's going to deliver or judge. Fetters with bonds of a long night, they lay exiled from the eternal providence. Why? Because they surrendered to the lies of a idol that can't deliver. They surrender. They're exiles. You ain't yours. You ain't yours. You're in darkness. You're not yours. Kadar, be quiet and go lay down. You're in darkness. You're not yours. For while they suppose to lie hid in their secret sins, they got sin. Right. They got sins. They got secret sins. Right. They were scattered under a dark veil of darkness. They don't realize that they're under darkness. Oh, this is okay. I'm gonna bother this idol. This ain't a problem. I'm gonna go to this game. This ain't a problem. Listen, man, if y'all, we got to cry loud, spare not. We got to get people in this witness. Listen. There's no hope. This is judgment. You's gonna judge this. Listen. For while they supposed to lie hid in their secret sins, they were scattered under a dark veil. Listen, they think they getting away. Yahuwah has blinded the minds of them. They're under darkness. They can't see. They forgot. They can't even turn because they forgot. They done been removed from Yahuah's Torah. from you. Yahuwah has allowed the veil to prevent them from seeing. They're forgetful. They don't know what the scripture says. They don't know what Torah says. Being horrified, being horribly astonished and troubled at strange apparitions. Listen. You was coming with judgment. They on their knees. They seeking him, but they still filled with fear. Starting to see stuff. Astonished. What did he say in Deuteronomy? In Deuteronomy, he says, now this is because you turned from Torah. So you don't receive the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. It's the same difference. You have to receive the witness of Yahushua Mashiach to be restored to Torah, to Yahuwah. Right? Until you do, right? 28 of Deuteronomy, 28. And you will just smite thee with blindness, with madness. Shlomo said, I've gave my heart to know madness and folly. Why would you give yourself to know madness and folly? Yahuwah said, I shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. Darkness, fear. That which comes as a result of separation from the Ruach of Yahuwah, from the presence of Yahuwah. Fear. These are not people that are established in the witness of Yahuwah, who are willing to suffer for righteousness' sake, who gladly accept beheading because they don't fear death. Death is not an enemy to us. We are the righteous. We walk in his righteous Torah. He has promised to take care of us. We don't care about this flesh. But see, if you ain't in this witness, you not established in Yahuwah's Besorah Torah. You have not really been born again of the water of the Ruach HaKodesh. You have not received the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood, right? Then you still smitten with madness. Blindness, astonishment of heart. You moved in fear. You move in fear. Move in fear. Because see, you're not attached to the righteousness that comes with the blessings of the Torah and faith in Mashiach. Right? He says, listen, thou shalt grope at noonday. Right? As the blind gropeth in darkness. Walk around stumbling, trying to figure out where you are in the daytime and the night. Thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. Right? Thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. He says, verse 37, and thou shalt become an astonishment. Proverb, a byword among the nations, among all the nations where you will scatter thee. Right? He is going to allow you, right? They were scattered under a dark veil, gross darkness, right? Forgetfulness. Yahuwah blinded the minds of them, lest they should see, right? Being horribly astonished, astonishment of heart. Troubled by strange apparitions. What's apparition? Let's look that word up. Let's explore that word. Let's explore that word. Explore that word. What does that word mean? You're gonna see the word aspiration is a ghostly figure or specter. A ghostly figure or specter, right? A sudden or unusual sight. Astonishment of heart. Right? You're going to see stuff, right? Designers, indoor, outdoor, reversal. Let me see what else we got here. It says the act of appearing, something appearing, right? Apparition, phantasm, phantom are terms for a supernatural appearance, right? An apparition is of a person or thing is an immaterial appearance that seems real. You will see things that seem real because of darkness. Because you won't receive the light of the world that shined in darkness. And darkness couldn't comprehend it. Hasatan could not overcome Yahushua. Could not overcome Yahushua. Right? And he can't overcome me because greater is he that's in me than he's in the world. Yahushua Mashiach and the witness of Yahuwah, the Ruach, this is in me. He can't overcome me with darkness. See, because I'm maintaining the Ruach discipline. Oh, yeah. I am maintaining the Ruach discipline. I'm allowing you as Ruach to continue to do what he needs to do in me, the Ruach of truth. Yeah, the Ruach of wisdom and revelation as I meditate on this Torah day and night that establishes me in this witness. See, I ain't taking it for granted. Right. See, when you're not connected like that, apparitions. Strange. Start seeing things. He said, for neither might the corner that held them keep them from fear. And they had those idols in a place in a corner of the house. And these idols they would go to and they would bow down and they would pray for the safety of them and their families and everybody. But these idols, they don't breathe, they don't speak, they don't hear, they don't talk, they don't move, they don't do anything because they was made by man's hands. And they ain't good for nothing but to be burned. Especially if they're wood. Right? He said, for neither might the corners that held them keep them from fear. This is where you go to bow down at your L. That you have placed in a designated place in the house. You go in and when you start to feel this, you go to the idol. You bow your knee and you pray, right? didn't help. The idols that you put your confidence in, they can't help. That pastor you have to pray for, they ain't got no power. It don't help. Talking it over with people and seeing a therapist and have them just talk, that don't work. Don't work. But noises of water falling down suddenly about them, and sad visions appear unto them with heavy countenances. What can I do? Everything I hear, everything that I see, that I think I see, leads me to believe that this is. I'm left with a heavy count. Heavy. Can't find no relief in this L in the corner of my house that I'm bowing to. Adultery is the beginning of spiritual fornication. Your relationship with you has been defiled because you've broken Torah. He's better than us. We committed spiritual fornication over and over and over and over and over again. He kept turning, come back to me. To Hosea. It was Hosea. To marry a prophet, a prostitute. Bear kids, name them after her fornication. Her pride. We, let them mess up one time, two times. Let them mess up. Done with them. Yeah, you got grounds. Listen. No power of the fire might give them light. No power of the fire might give them light. Neither could the bright flames of the star endure to lighten the horrible night. Listen, there's nothing that you can do naturally to deal with Yahuah's judgment when he throws pervasive darkness over you. Don't matter. There's nothing you can do. No power. Right? A fire. You can, excuse me, you can build a fire. Lighten the whole place, but you know what? Guess what? That ain't gonna do nothing for the darkness of the veil that's over you. The darkness of judgment that's coming on you. It's recollection of this dark judgment. No power of the fire might give you light. Because Yahushua is the light that causes darkness to flee. Yahushua's light, Yahushua's Torah, Yahushua's Besorah is that light. He is the way, the truth, and the light. The darkness of idolatry can only be taken away by the blood of Yahushua Mashiach, the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. neither could the brightness of the flames of the stars. Listen, you could have a well-lit night with the stars shining bright, but it ain't gonna matter because darkness is over you. You're gonna still see stuff. You're gonna still hear stuff. It's gonna cause you to fear because you know what? Your father, Hasadan, the prince of the power of the air, that Ruach that now worketh, that worketh in the children of disobedience, he's an author of fear. Everything he does is predicated off of men's fear. He wants you afraid. He wants you to fear death. We once who were through fear of death were subject to bondage. But Yahushua, he dealt with that. See, when he went in our place into the Shamayim, he took the keys. He took the dominion of death. He took the keys to hell. And guess what? And Yahushua's witness, I ain't got no fear. Yahushua's already took the keys. Yahushua has authority over the finality of death. And see, I have been promised eternal life in this witness. I've received it. And you see, Yahuwah's giving me the earnest, the down payment, the Ruach HaKodesh, that seal. When this gross darkness that's come as a result of your disobedience to Torah, and when you look to find solace and comfort in the corner of your house serving your El, you ain't gonna find any hope. In that hour when you call on Jesus, you ain't gonna find no help. I know it's gonna be hard for people to hear this, right? It's gonna be hard, but it's true. He says, only there appeared unto them a fire kindle of itself. Very dreadful, the judgment. See, now, the only thing that they get is this fire, right? Judgment, right? Very dreadful, right? Only there appeared unto them a fire kindled of itself, very dreadful, right? For being much terrified, they thought the thing which they saw to be worse than the sight that they saw not. See, it's preoccupied with what they saw. But they fail to realize that it's you that's bringing the judgment. Yeah, you worried about that fire right there, but you know what? You need to be concerned about him who is coming with all authority to judge your sin. Is that what you can't see? It's dreadful. Can't see it. Right? He says, only there appeared unto them a fire kindled of itself. Very dreadful. For being much terrified, they thought the things which they saw to be worse than the sight they saw not. Right? As for the illusion of art magic. See, you serve these elves, man. these elves that are made by man's hands, these illusions, these conjurings, these apparitions that form because of your darkness. For the illusion of our magic, they were put down, and their vaunting of wisdom was reproved with disgrace. See, because they made these idols, right? The results of man's hands, their wisdoms, the deceptiveness of Hasatan and his craftiness of implementing idolatry throughout everything. Magic. Television. Photographs. Paintings, drawings. All of these things that became objects of worship. As for the illusion of art, magic, Hollywood, art, magic, they were put down. And their vaunting in wisdom was reproved and disgraced. Because the righteousness and the judgment of you is going to crush that. Crush your idols. It's going to crush your American idols. It's going to crush your football, NBA, NFL idols. It's going to NBL, Major League Baseball. It's going to crush all your soccer idols. It's going to crush all of it. Your paintings. Crush it all. Everything that you have devised in your wisdom. It's going to crush it all. It's going to be reproved. Yahuwah. Judgment. It's going to reprove it. Yahuwah's judgment, which you can't even express. You see an admonition. You see it. I can't pronounce that word. What's it called? Arbitrations, or you can't even explain it. I see Yahuwah's judgment. Apparitions. Can't even explain it. The darkness that you feel, this heaviness, this fear. Because you've erred from Torah. Because you haven't received the witness of Yahushua. You erred. Erred. As for the illusion of magic art, they were pulled down. Yeah, because Yahuwah was going to tear them down. And their vaunting of wisdom was reproved and disgraced, because Yahuwah was going to bring it to nothing. Every man seems to be right in his own eyes because he trusts in his own eyes. I know what I'm talking about. Right? He says, listen, 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 listen. For they that promise to drive away terror. Listen, listen, man. Put your trust in this idol. Just pray and bow down to him. He's going to take away your terror. You do this, it's going to take away your terror. You got to understand. In the wisdom of Shlomo was talking about the confidence that man was putting in these idols and how these idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication and how the worship of these idols has ultimately evolved to the place where it is here. Right? In this 8th verse, these idols, right? They came with the promise of driving away terror and trouble. You put your confidence in people thinking that they gonna take away your trouble. Your soul is sick. You think these idols that you have in the corner, the go-tos. I'm gonna go to this because this is gonna work. This is gonna work. It's the go-to right here. See, because the unrighteous man thought to oppress the holy nation by presenting them to them idols. The Gentiles. I'm looking for scripture. It's probably the 14th chapter. He says, where is it? Oh, verse 11. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation. Because you who's going to judge your idols? These things that you bow down to. Who's going to judge these things? These idols you serve. He said, listen, these same idols, because in the creature of Elua, they are become an abomination. They're an abomination in the creatures. They're a stumbling block to the souls of men. These idols. They're a stumbling block to the souls of men and a snare to the feet of the unwise. Listen. These Gentiles, these wicked Gentiles, for the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication and the inventions of them, the corruption of life. Why? Because we were that people. We were Yaakov. We was Yahuah's firstborn, Yasharal. The 12 tribes. We were Yahuah's people. We were to honor the Shabbat. Right? But see, we failed. We did not keep his charge. We did not guardian his Torah. We chose other else. We became craftsmen in making else. And the Gentiles, they brought us on because, the Gentiles, they wanted us to get into idolatry. See, our people got bamboozled. Not really. They made a conscious choice to receive the worship of these idols. To worship these idols. Right? He says, therefore, even unto the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation. Yahuwah's going to visit these idols. Right? Because of the creature of Alua, they are become an abomination. Yeah, because you know what they do? They've taken the creatures and fashioned idols and made them the object of worship. They've made the creature become an abomination. Right? He said, listen, a stumbling block to the souls of men and a snare unto the feet of the unwise. Listen. For the devising of idols is the beginning of spiritual fornication. You must be born again. You must be born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. You must receive Yahushua's blood to cleanse you from this filth. This Babylon-inspired cleansing that needs to occur because you have committed spiritual fornication. And it's becoming a stumbling block. An invention of the corruption of life, right? This is what Shlomo was talking about. Again, the theme is consistent. It's exactly what he's talking about in the 17th chapter, right? He said, your soul's made sick because of these idols. You use these idols for they that promise to drive terror away, these idols, and trouble from a sick soul, these idols which they worship, they're supposed to serve this purpose, right? But we're sick themselves of fear, worthy to be laughed at. The people that made these idols for you, it don't work for them. It's not working for them. It's still idolatry. Still idolatry. Yahuwah, I pray that your people would understand that they have to receive the witness. Because they're going to end up just like their forefathers, idolaters. He says, for though no terrible thing did fear them, right? Yet being scared with beasts that were passing by and hissing, listen. The fear that came as a result of Yahuah's judgment had them terrified. The fear that's going to come upon this nation is going to have its people terrified. That have worshipped at the feet of idols. that have not accepted the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, who have not received the water, the blood, and the Ruach HaKodesh. For though no terrible thing did fear them, being scared with beasts that pass by, and the hissing of serpents, they did for fear deny that they saw the air and could not and could of no side be avoided. Listen to this. This is the trauma of terror that is the result of failure to receive the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach and the blood, the water, Ruach HaKodesh, and the failure to having not taken heed to his Torah. See, the Gentiles is going to suffer it because they're going to suffer it anyway. They were never Yahuwah's people. They're always idolaters. They were all destined for doom. Until Yahuwah established a way to a Mashiach. You gotta understand. You gotta understand, man, if y'all women. You gotta understand. They died for fear. Men's hearts failing them because of fear. Because of fear. Right? Because I had this dog. It was a pit bull. Actually, I used to breed dogs. I used to breed pit bulls and old English bulldogs, right? And at any given time, I had 7 or 8 adults and litters on the ground. I was a breeder. I did that, and I loved it, but it was a lot of work. And I had my kids, so they got to do a lot of work too. But anyway, right? I had this pit bull, right, that I got. It's a young puppy, still a puppy. You can tell he was white and blue, and called him Blue Boy, right? And my daughter, she had this Pomeranian. She wanted a dog, and I got her a Pomeranian. This Pomeranian was, she was a mess. She was aggressive. She didn't want nobody touching my daughter. I'm a dog man, so I correct her a couple times, and she got right with me. But she every now and then she tried to test me, and I check her real quick, and she understands. She'd get right. But she would always go out, and she always go to barking in blue, right? And growling through the fence, because she on the outside, he on the inside of the kennel. Growling, right? Just growling, right? So, like, man, you keep an eye on her. So, one day, right, I lift up the garage, because, I have all my kennels in the garage. I used my dogs out, and they used to go and run, and do their thing, and I let them all out, and they ran. And, I took the little Pomeranian, she had her little kennel too. So when my daughter wasn't home, I made her stay in the kennel because, I told my daughter, if you ain't going to take her out to use the bathroom, I don't want her pooping all over the house. So, you going to have to understand, she got to be, so I put her in her kennel, right? So, she get to barking. She'd be looking over at him, and he'd be like, barking back. Right? So I lift up the garage, and I walk around the corner to my kid's grandmother's house. She lived right around the corner at the time. So I walk around the corner of her, and then I come back, right? The Blue's kennel is out. Now, this dog done literally fought its way to the kennel out the house. And her kennel is out, right? Right? Her kennel is open. She gone. Where's she at, right? Blue kennel open, he gone. Where he at? Right? So I called him. I said, Blue boy. He come running around the house. I said, get him, kennel. I put him in his kennel, right? Something running around. I'm like, where that Pomeranian at? Where's she at? Right? Pomeranian. she deceased, right? She looked like she had been scared to death. I mean, literally, because I picked the dog up. There was nothing physically obvious. She wasn't even, she wasn't even mauled. I mean, there was nothing on her that would lead me to believe that he even did anything. No punctures, no none of that, right? She laying there. My daughter had a fit. And it's crazy because she didn't really take care of the dog like she should have. I ended up taking the dog most of the time, letting him out and all that stuff. But, she didn't really take care of it. She's like, oh, Dad, I want Blue. You got to go. You get my dog. You get my dog. I said, well, Blue ain't really do anything to your dog. I don't think I can tell. No, Dad, she was scared of him. No. So, of course, we gave her dog a proper burial. Right? And, of course, Blue had to go. But the idea is that fear killed that dog. Because, I own pit bulls. I know what they can do. If they want to do you in, they're gonna do you in. Right? But it wasn't even her case. My eyes was like, fear killed her. Right? I don't understand, man. The terror of Yahuwah will cause you to die. He said, listen, they died for fear. They died for fear. Denying that they saw the air, which could of no side be avoided. There was nothing that they saw but the air, because there was nothing else out there. The air. Nothing that you could see, nothing that you would need to avoid, nothing. But it's fear. It's that gross darkness. It's going to veil you because you want to serve else. He said, for wickedness condemneth by her own wickedness. Wickedness condemns. Because wickedness tells of its judgment. Wickedness is condemned. Right? Wickedness, condemnation is judgment. It testifies to it. Yahuah's righteousness. Yahuwah brings darkness. He allows fear of Hasatan, that fear, that dread. That's wickedness. And wickedness testifies against itself. Yeah, just like righteousness testifies to itself. What's the reward of righteousness? It's immortality. It's the love of Yahuwah. Yahuwah's love. Right? But listen to the wicked. It's that judgment. That which brings gross darkness. That which creates apparitions. that which causes men's heart to fail because of fear. For wickedness condemneth by her own witness, is very timorous, and being pressed with conscience, right? Because wickedness it presses with consciousness, right? Sin consciousness, right? Always forecasting grievous things. Listen. The heart of the righteous is never prophesying doom and destruction, because that's not our end. We rejoice because we know that we are the bearers of righteousness. And with that comes the reward of immortality. You don't hear us talking about doom unless it's the judgment to come to the earth, not to us. I don't talk about judgment to me. Listen, you should judge my sins already. Listen, I don't talk about judgment to me. This is the judgment of the wicked. This is what they are going to receive, right? And those who turn from you as Ruach and turn back to sin, this is what they going to receive. And it's going to be really bad for them because they tasted. See, you got to understand that this darkness produces fear. This darkness produces torment. And none of your idols are going to be able to do anything for you. No provision in your idols. Right? Right? None. He says, for fear is nothing else but a betrayal. Because see, fear is the betrayal. It's the byproduct of you betraying Yahuah'S Torah. Because you betrayed Yahuah'S Torah, you did not live according to his Torah. You did not yield yourself to his Torah. But you turned to idolatry, spiritual fornication. Right? Right? You receive fear. Darkness. Because you didn't succor with reason offered. See, you did not accept the man of Yahuwah telling you must receive the Ruach HaKodesh. You didn't accept the reasoning of Yahushua. Yahushua said, come, let us reason together. Said in Jeremiah, I think it was in Jeremiah. Let us reason. Yes. No, it's in Isaiah, not Jeremiah. My bad. Right? Isaiah. He said, you come now. Because you didn't want to do this. Right? Look. He says, fear is nothing else but betrayal. Right? of the succoring which reason offered, right? He says in Isaiah, he said, come, let us reason together. Say of you. It's because I'm long suffering. I always want you to turn to me until it is done and I am judging you and you're going to be consumed in your gross darkness. See, apparitions going to be consumed in fear. See, but I wanted you to reason. So come on, let's reason together. Though your sins be scarlet, right? They shall be white as snow, right? Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. Come reason. Turn away from these idols. Turn away from these idols. But see, you don't want to succumb to that. You didn't want the reasoning. You wanted the idolatry. Well, there you got it. It's coming with fear. See, and you ain't made perfect if you have fear. You have not received the witness of Yahuah'S blood. It's water and Ruach HaKodesh. Having your house swept clean, and having received Yahuah'S Ruach HaKodesh, right? If you haven't got that, you have fear. See, but perfect love, Yahushua, the Ruach HaKodesh of love, casts out fear. It ain't gonna be in you. Because fear is torment. Torment comes as a result of a transgression of Torah. You need to reason with Yahuwah in order to remove the fear. You need to receive the witness in order to remove the fear. Right? For fear is nothing else but a betrayal of the succoring which reason offers. See, the righteousness of Yahuwah's Ruach of wisdom and knowledge will lead you to understand, right? By the word, it will lead you to understand the reasoning and the necessity of the Torah, the Basora, the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach. He says, and the expectations from within being less counted the ignorance more than the cause which brought the torment. See, because what brought the torment, the cause, was your idolatry. Right? Right? You didn't have real expectations in this idol. Right? And this idol in and of itself, right, counted the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth the torment. See, you tormented because you were ignorant. Right? Right? The expectation from within, what you expected, was to receive what this idol was to offer, right? Because you took the man who sold it to you, right? And you believed his lie, right? And when you believed his lie, right, the expectation that you had that this idol was going to do what it needed to do, right, was really less, right? And you counted the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth torment. The idol brought the torment. Right? It did. You gave yourself to idolatry. Right? He said, but they sleeping the same sleep that night, which was, now this is the time of the judgment. This is the time when the judgment comes. Yahuah's judgment. Right. Because, they seeing stuff. That's what I'm telling you, man. That's why you better have Yahuah's Ruach HaKodesh. Because these idols are going to send you to hell. These idols are going to come with torment. They're going to come with torment, man. They're going to come with torment. They're going to come with torment. But they sleeping the same sleep that night, which was indeed intolerable. Why? Because they can't find rest. They can't find no shalom. You're in torment. There's no shalom. You can't sleep. Ain't no shalom. Right? And which came upon them out of the bottom inevitable hell. Oh, yeah. Because Yahuah sends evil ruachs. Yahuah sends menacing spirits. Yahuah sent evil ruach to Shaul. Yahuah said, those who will not receive his witness will be tormented. No escaping this judgment. There's no escaping this judgment. Hear the word of Yahuah. Hear the word of Yahuah. He says, but they sleeping the same sleep that night, which was indeed intolerable, right? Because so vexing. It's a judgment of you. And which came upon them out of the bottomless inevitable hell, right? Were partly vexed with monstrous apparitions. See, listen. You better be on the right side. You was. It's impossible to escape Yahuah's hands. It's impossible. You're going to either be on the side of righteousness through faith in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach and the keeping of Torah, or you going to be an adulterer, a spiritual fornicator. Right? Because Yahuah says, Exodus 20:2, I am Yahuah thy Elohim that brought thee out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other El before me. First commandment. Hasatan has the world, everyone in the world, bombarded with this commandment. And the violating of this Only those who have written the witness of Yahushua Mashiach, who serve Yahuwah in Ruach and in truth, are free from this. Everybody else, and that's if they continue, remain, and dwell in Yahuwah's witness. Everybody else are in violation. Thou shalt have no other else before me. Thou shalt not make any graven images or any likenesses of anything that in the Shamin above, and that is on the earth beneath, or in the waters, or underneath the earth. Underneath the earth. Yeah, you mean Hasatan, satanic hell worshippers. Yeah, they got the idols. He says, we're partly vexed with monstrous apparitions, and partly fainted, their hearts failing them, for a sudden fear and not looked for came upon them. Listen. Hasatan will attack you with fear. I think I read one of the occultes on Facebook. One of my friends said how she had experienced her first ever attack where she was gripped with this fear and couldn't move her body. She said she had to call on the name of Yahushua. You know, right? And that thing left her. You don't ever have to be gripped by anything. Yahuwah has given you all power. He's giving you power. Not all power. He's giving you power. Right? Over the powers of darkness, their influence over you. Some of y'all just need to anoint your heads and you anoint your bellies. Some of y'all need to anoint your bedpost. Some of y'all need to anoint your oils over your doors, over your windowsills. I anoint my oil. Listen. Some of you got to watch who you allow to come under the arc of your door. Right? Because listen, you got to keep your house covered. You just can't let everything in your house. People with ruachs, they be making deposits. Ruach, hang out. I'm just saying. In the ruach, I'm saying. And said, for a sudden fear and not looked for came upon it. Right? For when whosoever there fall down was straitly kept, shut up in prison without iron bars. Bondage. Fear. Being on lock. Can't do nothing. Listen, right? I was in my 20s. I think I was in my early 20s, right? And had the Ruach HaKodesh. Was working at this facility. Right? It was a mental health facility. Right? Housed a bunch of Ruach-filled people. That's how they deal with the what Ruachs is. They build facilities and put these people in these facilities and have all these Ruachs running around, you know, doing the crazy things that Ruach do. Unclean things, you know, Ruachs. Well, I always would pray, take authority over everything before I go in, and keep myself squared. Right? And one time I got angry at this this one individual that had several ruachs. I didn't deal with him in the ruach. I deal with him in my flesh. Got angry. Left my shift, went home, went to bed. Was in the bed, in sleep, laying down. All of a sudden, there was on my chest this demon, right, screaming at this high-pitched voice. Now, it was a vision, right? It's a vision. I seen it was this ugly little, it was gray. This ugly little gray thing, and it was sitting on my chest, and I was paralyzed. And he was screeching at this high pitch, right? And everything that was in me spoke, right? And declared that this needed to go, be bound, right? Need leave. Poof, it was gone, right? And Yahuwah revealed to me that I had allowed an unclean ruach to accompany me in home because I gave him room, gave him an opportunity. And the opportunity didn't last because, the paralyzing part and just seeing this thing on my chest at the time was like, right? But the idea is that he taught me. You gotta watch what condition you put your heart in and how it doesn't take much to open up yourself. This thing wasn't in me, but it made its way to my house. It was able to follow me because, I gave it room. We got to get through this. He said, listen, we're partly vexed with monstrous apparitions and partly fainted, and their hearts failing them for sudden fear and not looked for came upon them. So they feared stuff that they couldn't even see that came upon them. They weren't even looking for these things and they came upon them. Fear, right? Because it's the judgment. It's the gross darkness that comes because you did not retain Yahuwah in your knowledge. And he gave you over. You wanted to be an idolater? Be an idolater. You want to be a fornicator? Be a fornicator. Right? You want to be a prolific pornonia person? Go ahead, do what you want to do. But you know what? When the torment comes, you're going to be just like this. He says, listen. So then, whosoever there fell down was straightway kept, shut up, in prison without iron bars. For whether he was a husbandman, a shepherd, a laborer in the field, he was overtaken. It don't matter because you were an idol worshiper. No matter where you are, doesn't matter what you were doing. When Yahuwah's judgment comes, right? When his judgment comes, and it cannot be expressed, when his judgment comes because you have erred, your soul have erred because you did not accept Yahuwah's reasoning together, right? You did not accept this prophet of Yahuwah telling you, declaring to you that you must be born again of the Ruach HaKodesh and of the water. Listen. Didn't matter for whether you were husbandmen, shepherds, or laborers in the field. He was overtaken and endured with necessity, which could not be avoided. You can't get away from it, right? For they were all bound with one chain of darkness. This gross darkness, this torment is going to fall on everybody at the same time, no matter where you are, where you at. When you was judgment, it's coming. It's coming. You idolatrous. That judgment is coming. He said, listen, whether it were a whistling wind or melodious noise of birds among the spreading branches, or a pleasing fall of water running violently, or a terrible sound of stone casting down. We talking about, listen, no matter what it is, it's going to torment and create fear, right? Or a running that could not be seen, or skipping beast, or roaring voice, or most savage wild beast, or rebounding echo from a hollow mountain. These things made them to swoon with fear. Why? Because you know what? That was your just recompense. That was Yahuwah's justice. He said, because in that 16th chapter, in that first verse, therefore by the like were these punished worthily, and by the multitude of tormented beasts tormented, because of the idolatry, right? Verse 15. Verse 15. For they counted all the idols of the heathens to be elves, which neither have the use of eyes to see, nor nose to draw breath, or ears to hear, or fingers to handle, and hands to handle. And as for their feet, they are slow to go. For man made them. And he that borrowed his own spirit fashioned them. He used his own understanding. He drew from himself, not the Ruach HaKodesh. Right? But no man can make a God like unto himself. Right? So, let's go back. We know what we're talking. 17. He says, for the whole world shines with clear light. Everybody sees clear light, right? And none were hindered in their labors. None of them were stopped from worshiping else. None of them were prevented from not. No one, Yahuwah never imposed his will. Right? They were never stopped. They were never hindered. Over them only was spread a heavy night. Only the wicked are going to experience this gross darkness. Because they choose to not reason with Yahuwah. They chose not to receive the reasoning of Yahuwah's prophet. They chose not to receive Torah, to obey Torah, to take heed to Torah, but what they did was become vain in their imaginations. And they sought to worship the creature and the creator. They put idols in the corners of their houses. They bowed down to worship at the feet of these idols. And they got in return apparitions, gross darkness. Over them only was spread a heavy night. See, because they was the only ones. Because Yahuwah has a people who has a witness. The Ruach HaKodesh, water and the blood. Yahuwah has a people who's been baptized with the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. Yahuwah has a people. Yahuwah has a people. Yahuwah has a people. Over them was spread a heavy night, an image of the darkness that should afterwards receive them. Yahuwah's judgment. Right. But yet were they unto themselves more grievous than the darkness. They were more grievous than the darkness. Now, you know, Yahuwah hasn't not appointed us to this because we keep his Torah. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, listen. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17. Hallelujah. All praises to Yahuwah for his Shabbat. All praises to Yahuwah for his word. All praises to Yahuwah for this witness. All praises to Yahuwah for so great a Yeshua. All praises to Yahuwah because he is worthy of praise and adoration and exaltation. All praise to Yahuwah for this Yeshua. So great a Yeshua. All praise to Yahuwah.
Should destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Verse 24. Woe unto them that sin.
Hezekiah.
My commandments. Thus said the Most High.
Song is entitled Prophecy.
For now our plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. For the Most High shall not deliver you, because you have sinned against him.
Listen. Song is entitled Prophecy. Yahuwah, in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, I pray right now that the words you've given me to give to them, they would keep them and receive them. Let it go. We in the end times. Yahuwah, in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, I pray that your people would receive your word. I pray that your word would be a lamp unto their feet, a light unto their pathway. I pray that you would strengthen them by power and by might, that you would establish them in the name of Yahushua Mashiach. Yahuwah, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuwah, my strength and my redeemer. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, this is the Shabbat. We the people of the book broadcast. Yeah, it's gone down. We went longer than normal, but it was all good. Because the Ruach HaKodesh spoke. And I praise Yahuwah for his Ruach HaKodesh. Hallelujah. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, called the greatness. Woman of Yahuwah, beautifully and wonderfully made. Listen, today Yahuwah's favored you. If you are in this witness, fear not. Listen, Yahuwah's going to judge the wicked. He's going to judge the adulterer. He's going to judge the fornicator. The spiritual fornicators. He's going to judge them.
Verse 24. Woe unto them that sin and keep not my commandments. Thus said the Most High. Verse 27. For now our plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. For the Most High shall not deliver you, because you have sinned against him.
Because you sinned. You ain't getting delivered. With that, I say Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Yasharal, Yahudah, grafted in Gentiles to the body of Hamashiach. Listen, be blessed.
Torah Garden, speaking the absolute truth. Torah Nation.